And welcome to Yahweh's Shabbat service. And my name is Yehuda ben Israel. And starting to my left,
Uriah ben Israel.
Mikael ben Israel.
Obadiah ben Israel.
Praise y'all for you brothers. It's good to see you, man. Brother Ovid, Brother Uriah, Brother Nick. Hey, man, we're blessed to be back here again to keep Yahweh's Holy Shabbat service, and as we call it, the Sabbath class discussion, where we are seeking to edify the body of the Mashiach and those who are being called to hear His word, reaching out to those new sheep, those lost sheep, the new sheep, come in so we can all build a foundation together here. And who are we? What do we do? What's our stance? The keepers of the house of life are dedicated to spreading the righteousness, the love, mercy, and forgiveness of our Father, Yahweh Elohim of hosts, by and through His Son, Yeshua the Messiah, the Lamb of Yahweh, the King of Israel, the High Priest, and our Redeemer and Savior, whose name be blessed forever. And each one of us, Uriah, Mikael, Brother Obadiah, we are here to teach and proclaim the gospel of Yeshua HaMashiach, who magnifies the law of Yahweh. And today's class is Father Abraham, the legacy continues. Part 4?
Part 4.
Part 4. Because when you understand, Abraham was a friend of Yahweh. Yahweh called Abraham his friend. And who can say that they were a friend of the Most High? That the Most High said, this man, flesh and blood that I made, he's my friend. That's a one-sided relationship.
Yes.
But you're talking about your creator, right?
Yeah.
That's just for that. That's why we got to call. He's the founder. He's the patriarch. If you don't understand, we all descend. You know him as not only father in a rhetorical way, but we mean that literally. That he's we flow from his lineage. We are of the line of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac.
That's right.
Abraham, Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel.
Yep.
So we are that holy seed, the so-called people that were brought here on the transatlantic slave trade. And many of our brothers and sisters are still on the continent of Africa this day.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So, and know who they are. Now, some call them Messiah, Yeshua. Some don't, because they're still, as we following the law, the Torah, and the prophets strictly. They had not been, that light has been brought to them about the Messiah yet, that He's already come. And He's already been died, resurrected, and ascended, and He's redeemed us already. That's been done. But nevertheless, as it is our custom, we would, before we begin part 4 of Abraham, Father Abraham, legacy continues, I'm going to turn it over to Brother Elder Uriah.
Here we're going to be starting off with the Shema.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the Shema can be found in Deuteronomy chapter 6,
Yes, sir.
verse 4 and 5. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 and 5. Verse 4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim is one Adonai, and thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. This is the Shema,
Right.
and it derived from the Hebrew word Shema, which means obey, listen. Not listen to anything, but listen to the knowledge, to the law, the structure of Yahweh, the law, the commandment, and the statutes and judgment. And, we thank you. And we're going to turn to the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 18, where we see the Messiah. He amplified also, and magnified, make it honorable. Matthew chapter 22, we're going to be reading verses 37 through 40. Verse 37. Yeshua said unto him, and unto him is that Pharisee that tempted the Messiah with a question to find out which one of the commandment was the greatest in the book of Moshe. And Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Verse 38. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. Okay, and let's turn to the book of Matthew chapter 20. That gives us the authority, to sit before, the grace, the throne of grace of the Most High, to do these things. Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them also.
And what chapter was that again?
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 20. Yeah, praise Yahweh for his word. Praise Yahweh for the knowledge that he has given unto us. And we're going to be turning to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah verse chapter 58. And this is the structure that was given to us, or we should keep, the holy day of the Most High before each and every week, every Shabbat. Isaiah verse 58, verse 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Shabbat a delight, the holy of Yahweh, honor it, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it.
Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Thank you, Brother Uriah, for reading the Shema, and as we know, that means to hear, to obey. And it also amplifies that Yahweh, our Elohim, is one. Mm-hmm. There's no other, there's no Trinity. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that. It's just Yahweh. And we know that when we say Elohim, Yahweh is the head, and he has Israel, his angels. And the angel comes before you, hypothetically, when we're reading the book. There are some angels that presented themselves, but they bear like the angel in the burning bush. He said, I'm Yahweh. That's right. I'm Yahweh. He had the authority to bear that name. So there are orders in heaven, different orders, different ranks. And some angels may tell you, Gabriel, Michael, when he appeared before Joshua, he says, hey, he commands the armies of Yahweh, right? And take your shoes off. Take your shoes off. You have to bow down to that particular angel. Just like that angel in the bush, that burning bush told him, take your shoes off.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on now. So every angel, but then there's some ranks of angels saying, hey, don't bow before me. I'm a servant like you.
And then so like we read last week, we read about the angel that appeared unto Abram.
Exactly.
He didn't give his name. It's three.
It's three of them.
Right.
One did the talking, and they all spoke, but then the first two left went on to Sodom to take care of that business in Sodom.
The other one stayed.
The other one stayed. And it referred to as master. You know, so, but and that's what you call a recap. If the viewers go back and read that, go back to last week's Sabbath service, and we try to break that down. But Yahweh is, I think I mentioned this early this week to the brothers. He's inexhaustible. He can do what he want to do.
Oh yeah.
He can be who he want to be. There's nothing too hard for him.
That's right.
Now, you get exhausted and you come to your end. But Yahweh, there's no end in him. You know, it's unlimited, inexhaustible. And we have to give that glory to him. And that's why I love when the brother elder reads Isaiah 58. I always stop and I just thought, if you watch me and watchers, I always piggyback or lamback, I should say that, on what Brother Uriah reads. Because if you get your pencil out and start putting those, just in verse 13, Isaiah 58, verse 13, if you were to listen, it says, turn away thy foot, one, from the Sabbath. You know, stop doing your pleasure. You know, that it's a holy day. And call the Sabbath of light, number 4. And honor him, honor Yahweh on that day. Don't do your own pleasure on that day. Right? Don't find your own pleasure. Don't speak your words. So you got a whole list of things you can just lay out. And then when you go to verse 14, and then it says, then shalt thou delight thyself. If you do the things in verse 13 from the right spirit, with a circumcised heart, you are already there. Verse 14 says, then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob or Yaakov, your father. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. Did we not just say that we are of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob?
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is a blessing because the Sabbath was given to us. Circumcision was given to us.
As a sign.
As a sign of that covenant.
You know that, and laying back on what you said, that's what we were talking about, the importance of, or the difference between reading and studying.
And studying.
Like you said, how a person would take that structure that we just read and itemize it, write it out, and then you can go back and reflect on it when it's about coming and say, okay, am I doing this? Am I doing this? This allows you to study and apply the things that you're actually reading.
Yes, sir.
And
That's right.
make it applicable. So that because we're not just reading words.
Exactly.
The hearer, that ain't gonna be no good.
They just lost all. It's something that the keepers of the house of light do every Shabbat. They just read over that. The elder Uriah read over it, and then they go on to the next thing. No, we want to. That's why he said, he talk about what the Shema is. Gives you the authority for 4 of us to be gathered here together. It's for a purpose, for you to listen. And that goes back to that Shema again. So when you're listening to what we're talking about, as we're reading, you're hearing, you're saying, oh, if the Mashiach got this, oh, brother, well, he said he would be. Where 2 or 3 gather in my name, I believe it. So that's why we have to, put that flesh down. You might come in one way, but you got to push that flesh out the door and let the Spirit take over. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I think that's critical before, because I don't think I'm speaking now, but anybody can say what they want, but it is more than just going through a process and going through a situation of just reading and going through the movements, because Yahweh knows that He discerns the hearts of men. Right. So He knows if I'm not right. You know, if I got all against me, brother. You know, if I got some things, I cursed out somebody on my way here. Come on. But like the brother said, you didn't see this because we don't pray on the air. But like the brother says in prayer, that we're flesh. This body's flesh. And we're liable to do anything or say anything. At any time. So, and that's why we want you to know who we are. I read some words. The keepers of the house of light are dedicated to spreading righteousness, love, mercy, and forgiveness right? When we start this Sabbath class discussion. But I guess I want to pose, but that just only says a synopsis, but who, what's motivating, what spirit, we know what spirit is Yahweh, but what got us here? What caused us to come together? What moved us to form the keepers of the house of life? What moved us individually? And we're I think this is a good time to kind of segue and do something a little different, so you can kind of get a feel and get an understanding, of who we are, as brothers. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pose that question to the brothers here. They've already looked and smiling, but I'm going to pose it. I want you to tell our audience, a little bit, what moved you to be here? What caused you to come to this body, to this particular ministry, this platform? And I'm going to just start it with Brother Elder Uriah, and just I want you to speak to the people.
Wait, you know what, my elder? I maybe have to start before I come into this group, and the reason why is because I usually do stuff on my own.
Okay.
Anything I want to do, I have to get it done myself. And it was one of the hardest things for me to, to trust in something that I can't see. I cannot hear. Back then, not knowing how to listen, that was a problem, with me. And so it's one of the hardest things to me when, folks will say to me, let the Spirit will do it for you, but Spirit will do it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Who is the Spirit? I can see my mom, I can see my dad, I can see my friend. And I used to go in there, bust my house and do the work, gain a penny or whatever.
Right.
But there was I'm going to paraphrase a verse in the scripture that said, the word of the Most High is perfect. Then when I deeply looked into it and said, man, if His word is perfect, why there's so many different denominations? Why there so many different names? Yeah. And I struggled with it for a while, but then I started reading the book. And started reading the book. I said, let me read it, to see what I can get out of it. And then afterward, travel from different places to end up over here. And I don't remember exactly what happened. If I was involved in an accident, and not knowing that the Most High spared my life that day. Because if He could hit me straight in the back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I tell you something, man. I was wearing a hard hat. And that hard hat shoot off my head, so maybe about 30 feet away from my body. It hit every wind out of my body. Yes, I could hardly breathe. I have to go up and gasp right here. And then I said, you know what? This is it. It's time for me to search for the truth. It doesn't matter what it takes.
Okay.
Whether my whole world crumbled, but I'm going to be searching, for the truth. I go from back and forth, to church, different churches, and I said, no, something is wrong.
Something is missing.
Something is missing. They're not saying what is written here, because I always have that phrase, the word of Yahweh is perfect. And if somebody's going to, so that quotation, I go with it anywhere I go. And then I happen to watch, a couple, I would say Hebrew brothers, start, preaching the word.
Right.
But what I was seeing them reading the book, and I was like, come on, man. Why are you reading the book? You're supposed to be more intelligent. You're reading it and they explain it to the group.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
The freestyle.
Yeah, the freestyle. Let's roll.
Right.
The thing that I'm used to,
Correct.
everywhere I go, they're running from one stage to the next end of the stage. And, I don't see that written in the book. And, I continue to listen to that brother, and so then, I said, okay, let's go to Assembly Adventist Church, because, the law said keep the Sabbath day holy. But then, I'm not saying any congregation or anywhere you go, they're not going to be errors. But we're not talking about those errors. We're talking, they're speaking something totally different from what was written in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like, something is wrong. So then I started going to church at the same time. I started going to the Seventh-day Adventist, then I started going to, the Hebrew church.
Right.
Yeah, and I said, then afterward, something hit me, where I know, I don't want to take up all of your time, but I'm trying to best, to explain it. Yeah, then I said, you know what, these guys are reading word for word. So if they're reading word for word, there's nothing I can say against that. I can't say they are wrong or whatever. I would say, okay, the word of the Most High is not true, but they're reading word for word. So that's what caught my attention, And I know within everybody there's problem. So it moved this body. I would have said, to organize a new structure, or we're going to do stuff, because there's certain things that was hurting and everything else. But these are the things that Most High put us through, you understand, for us. Because he wants us to go in a different direction.
Right.
He wants us to go out there to seek after the lost sheep. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what, my whole life is about, till I end up in here, trying, to teach His word to other people.
Praise Yahweh, Yahweh. I hope people can hear that when he talks about that. It's an evolution. Yahweh brings you to different places, And so I guess my brother Mikael, he's right next to you. He's smiling. I have to look at Nick. I was told I have a certain look that I can throw off, but I love that brother though, because he look at me, I'm looking at him.
Yeah, real body language.
The body language, but Mikael, I guess the same question I posited just to everybody, but to you, from your perspective.
Let me see, where should I start? Well, I was part of a family, a congregation church for, I said, about 10 years, and even before that, Yahweh brought my attention to them in 2004. And then that's when, because before then, I actually thought I was Jewish, you know what I'm saying? And I think, and then when I look at it, that's like a thorn in my side, because people are still bringing that up, like, oh, you thought you was Jewish, now this, so this is just, now it's gonna be this. So it kind of a unspoken label, you seem unstable, now it's growth. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to find a way, so I was part of a congregation, just not even speak against it, because I have, trust me, I was meditating on that today. I was like, dang, and that's who I am, like, I can't hold on to feelings and grudges, because it's not, after a while, it's not gonna profit. Like, man, you wasting your time.
Yeah, you're right, brother, because you speak about positive things.
Yeah, oh, I'm trying, it's like I told you, who has got anything done with a negative mindset? Like, it should start right there. But I'll get back to the, I mean, that's where I come from. I was raised by a mother. My mother was very balanced. My mother used to whoop me like the head of the household.
Okay.
And then, I'm in my room looking at my wounds, and she come around the bed, put her arms around me, explain. I'm like, this is out of time for this. You know what I'm saying? But I understood, because I treat my children the same, and she always told me, you know what I'm saying, and that always stuck with me, that you're going to be held accountable for what you're told. So even as a child, it was even it goes to the verse where it's
wisdom, brother. Go ahead.
Something like that. Don't put that on me. But even going to the verse, and I look at people differently, because the book said, a fool said in his heart there was no God. So all these people with these names, they're not fools. They're looking for higher powers. So that's a start right there.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So my mother told me that. So going back to the camp, and then the congregation part. I mean, I still have love, and I still got people I talk to. But I mean, the spirit, the knowledge matched the book, but the spirit didn't. It just didn't, and I can't rock like that, because I don't coast. Matter of fact, I won't even refer friends I know for jobs. I'm like, nah, if he do anything other than what you know me as, I gotta answer for that. You know, so the base, when the spirit, basically, the spirit just didn't line with Mashiach. You know what I'm saying? The Mashiach wasn't hard on the ignorant. You know what I'm saying? You know, because I was talking, so I said, people when you use the word ignorant, yeah, you kind of want to be careful who you use it with, but it just means like you don't know. But if you know more than somebody, why do you know what I'm saying? Like, why you got to come to them like a child. Like you don't just grab a child that can't crawl and say, hey, get up and walk. So you got to understand he was there one time. So basically, there was just no love there. There was just no love. When I say love, I mean correction and that fervent love, like you really care about something. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to go to a place, because I'm very sharp. You don't want to go to a place, I'm prepared to protect my energy and my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Because I know certain people, I get it, they came from different backgrounds, but that's not my problem. I hate to be like that. I wasn't raised like that. And when you get older, you see. But, basically, I was excommunicated out the church or whatever, which is very funny. But then I always told myself, like, nah, that's a setup. That's for you to stay seated and not do anything. So then that's when I told myself, okay, we know this is set up, and we're asking Yahweh for stuff, and we don't want Yahweh to be like, you knew better. Why you ain't, you got sent. So then I said, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do like topics once a month, this and that. So then me and Brother Obi, you know, we started, we wanted to start a podcast, just bringing our vibe, showing people like, people of our color, we could come together and have meaningful conversations. You know what I'm saying? So we had all this equipment, and then that was like almost a year ago, and it was just sitting there. So then when all this happened, me and him were talking, we're like, man, we just waiting on them. We already see the whole picture. Who is that? Yeah. Well, the viewers know because I turned that direction. So we had all the equipment, and then I heard you talking, and I said, and then we was at the same place where we wanted to read, was in part of it, and just like, yeah, maybe I'll do some classes Zoom. And I heard you, I say, I'm not gonna be the one to throw it out there, but it's coming. And then it just came, and then we came and got together, and what I love about it is it's peace. You know, we like I'm not gonna speak for you. I have a clear mind. I can come here like when I woke up this guy. I'm like, this still don't feel comfortable. This still don't feel comfortable. Like I expect to be vexed and trying. That's why I fall back. But to come to a place and it's peace. Like I don't expect. Like and I know people. You have to understand. Like the Shabbat to me is like a shadow of things to come. Your whole life should be peaceful like that.
Okay.
You know, because if your life is not peaceful like that, you might want to remove things. That's because how can you walk in the spirit with not having a peaceful, you know what I'm saying, spirit like you? It's gonna cause you to do things like, you know what I'm saying, like.
You're right. God should have said, "You're gonna give you joy."
Yeah.
Abundant.
But then we got here, and then everything, Jekyll, we got the same spirit. You know, man, we got Yardies at the table, and I even said, man, you have that island spirit. And even we joking, I was like, man, you got on the wrong boat. You know what I'm saying? Because where I'm from, it's like, it's all like
I'm officially quasi-island.
You know, because I was raised in a Haitian culture, and they like, I know what love is. Like, you come to the house, we cook. You want something like that? Like it's for real. There's no guile. There's no intention. Like, oh, he has a hookup here. No, it's just real love. We joke. We don't try to do that. What they call Hebrew love.
Oh, I hate the Hebrew love. That moniker.
Because and when I say Hebrew love, but the Arabs are Hebrew. Right. Esau Hebrew. Like what? Moed and so what that love? Yeah. Like, give me some Israel love. Right. But now we gel together.
The love of Mashiach, the agape,
yeah, but we gel together, and I know we all pray for things for Yahweh, and I'll cut it short because I can talk. But I was praying for, because you in the land of your captivity, like you need, to fight, and I was praying, and then Yahweh gave me this, and I was like, I got you. Like you don't like I hear what you want. But do this. I've gave you plenty of tools. The place you came from, like the knowledge I have, I can't take nothing away from that. But Yahweh just didn't want me there. He wanted more things. Because I'm a man that fears lake of fire. I don't play with that. You know, I don't play with that. So when it comes to what I do, because I'm not perfect, I'll be the first one, even when they talking, and I'll be like, I know that's right, but I don't feel like you know, I don't want to say, you know what I'm saying? So you know, my decision, my walk, I always compare with the book. You know what I'm saying? I won't follow a man like that's. I'm not doing. I have children, I have a son. You gonna follow me, because if I'm following somebody, you're not following me. You following the person I'm following.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Cut the middleman out.
So the way I look at it is everything in life. You usually look at it on what Yahweh wanted me to get from this and see from this. Okay. And then what I see is that there's no ceiling. Just like we always talk, like you can never get everything out of this book, and that's the same as life. You just continue to grow. But yeah, that's all I wanted to share.
Brother, thank you for sharing that, because you know, like we said, we want brothers and people that are watching, sisters and brothers that are watching, to kind of understand that we're not coming out of monolith. You know, we are individuals, men, and Yahweh brought us together. And that, you know, I guess that just segued me to my brother Obadiah here. Deacon Obadiah, brother Obadiah. Again, brother, you've heard brother Mikael and brother Uriah. This is your view on how Yahweh work with you.
Well, the similar story to Uriah, in a sense, because surgery, you know, from a young man, we grew up Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So daddy died when I was young, and I was always instructed to read the book. Daddy, before he beat me, he would read.
Wow.
Go to the book of
Yeah,
Judges.
that sounds like Nick.
In particular, he would go to
You got it afterwards. You got it before. Okay.
He would read from the book of Judges, and you know, and he was very stern about being a responsible young man. And, you know, I had 9 sisters, 3 brothers, a big family.
Wow, praise God.
Twice around, but nonetheless, could not think what was going on. I had a lot of questions when I was in the Jehovah's Witness. I used to ask the elders and the ministerial service questions, and I would always find myself getting in trouble.
Okay, with those questions.
The questions that I was asking. And so it discouraged me from wanting to go to there. So I left it be. I told my mother I wasn't going to continue going. And kind of grew up a little different. Was on my own from I was young. Thought I was grown, I would say it like that. So my mother, she saw fit to put me out when I was a young man, about 16. And so I've been alone since I was young. Okay. So I always read the book. Okay. When I met my wife, I always studied the book, but I did not go to church. I refused to go to church. There's a difference. Like I disdained churches for some reason. I didn't want to go because of the experience that I had. I saw my grandmother that they were into the Catholic Church, and my uncle was a preacher. One of my uncles was a preacher in the Christian church, and I would listen to the conversation that they would have in the church, and then out the church I see something different. Because I saw the foolishness of it, and it just kind of didn't resonate with me. So I said, well, this is a game. But I believed in the book, and I knew that the word was the truth. Okay. So I had a lot of questions and things that I couldn't actually put basis on, or I didn't understand why I didn't read certain things. I would ask about questions about the Messiah's nationality, things like this. And but I had nothing to base it on. Fast forward to maybe I said 2001, Yahweh allowed me to hear through some brothers. I praise God to this day for them. And the testimony of it is that I was out at a grocery store with my young daughter, and for some reason I heard these brothers, and they weren't talking about the word. They were talking about a football match or something in Jamaica, and I happened to take in that match, and they were from Jamaica. So I went over to them and introduced myself. It was weird because I'm a man that just kind of, but these brothers is something, it brought me to, I went over to them, and it was a magnet drew me to them. I went over there and I introduced myself, and we started talking. We talked about music and all kinds of stuff. We said, man, we exchanged information and so forth. So we got together, and we were at the house doing music, and we were there for hours. I'm going out to get some drinks in the front, and I hear these brothers in the back talking about the word. And the stuff they said, it blew me away. I went to the back, I forgot the reason, came back, and I'm talking to them. And then, where did y'all get this from?
Okay.
They said, from the book.
That is great. Where y'all getting this from?
Get your book and let's read it. So we got the book and we was there all night. My brother Yashar, and my brother Lana. So these brothers that Yahweh allowed me to get the word to. And so what, 20-something years ago.
Wow.
I still talk. So these are my brothers.
Hallelujah.
But so we were experiencing, we were inside of a camp. We got baptized when we were young, we were in a camp. And in that setting for years, was taught on I came into, when I was being given the information, I was not allowed to go into the camp because I worked on the Shabbat.
Okay.
So the job was going to give me on. So they used to give me tapes of cassettes of Elder Yaakov.
Oh, y'all come.
So I'm listening to cassettes all the time. Going to work and I'm listening for like 6 months, 9 months, and then the job that I was at was the contract ended. I found a different gig, and I told them, look, I don't work on the spot. The guy said, all right. So that's when I started going to the camp and was all, actually even able to keep the spot. And it was there since, from like 2001. And so going through experience, seeing congregation, all kind of things take place, and it's like I said, you have good and bad experiences nonetheless. But what we were learning was, you couldn't learn it in no other place. So I praise God for the experience and for the teaching that we received. The elder had passed, saw a transition, and it's might the shepherd of sheep scatter. I'll say
Right,
like that.
right.
It's a big situation took place, and we ended up with one of the other priests, and I was taught under him for a portion of time. We went through some experiences, I would say. I say that to relate to the people and to the Lord of sheep that we've been in camps, and we know it. I can only begin to tell you my testimony of things that I've seen, but I know I see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. Just like this book lays
Just
out.
like the book lays out, so we know we're the people of the book. We've seen things, and we don't bash because we praise God for all the experiences.
That's right.
And up until recent, and then when the situation came up the same way, what I was receiving from the experience was that rejection is redirection.
Okay.
Okay. I like that. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Rejection is redirection.
Rejection is redirection.
And went through some experiences with some of the brothers, and it's all love. We praise God for the experiences because we rejoice the same way because we grow and we're able to move forward. So we maintain peace in our minds. So but those experiences is what it took to bring us to where we are now.
Redirecting you.
So that rejection redirected that energy not away from Yahweh.
Okay, say that again.
That rejection, it didn't reject us or turn us away from Yahweh. It pushed us closer to it. To step out on faith. And say, Yahweh, you got purpose in me. I know you got purpose in me.
Exactly.
I had an experience where we were at a place in a man because of, it was a camp mentality. I would say cult mentality.
Yeah,
because that's what's out there. There's a whole lot of that.
I'm a real talent. Yeah, let's be honest.
It's a lot of cult mentality. I left because I didn't agree with the things that was going on. And the brother told me that I should cut my throat. I'm dead. My life is in vain.
Wow.
And so I say, and none of the brothers ever spoke to me again that were over there.
Wow.
These are brothers I knew for 20 years.
So sorry to break you, man. So they're in their own hands.
In their own hands. Yeah.
Wow.
And to this day, I know a lot of brothers and sisters who don't go to camps because of that.
Yeah.
Hurt.
They're wounded. Yeah, they're wounded. And so, all of that is what that combination, but Yahweh allowed us to go through that to teach us and to show us and say, okay, well, no, that's not how you deal with the sheep. When we see the sheep going through it, and we grieve us to see the things the sheep are going through.
Correct.
We going through it. Some people built different. You might discourage someone's faith by the things, we may roll off our back. We may have different, we ain't got soft skin. Some people do. And so, but I may have another flaw or something else. You see, and that's where it was. Because I used to tell them, what's a joke to you? That's to me. We're serious about this.
Exactly.
Oh, So in fact, sorry to break it. I mean, shaking my hand. So that's what my elder brother, the Buddha was saying. We believe the way things of the law. We don't make those things.
That's right. That's right.
And that was the problem.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry I have to go through that, my brother, but I guess all of us. That's what you said.
It makes us,
Rejection.
Rejection is redirection.
Redirection.
It's joy for our Holy Spirit, because it shows us that, if you're not worthy to go through a trial, then what does he need with you? I mean, if you have what was the word? A blacksmith, and he takes that sword to the king. He said, "Look, king, give this to your chief man. Take this sword to the battle." Well, how do you know? Did you shed any blood with that sword? How did you test it? So,
Exactly. Don't give me anything that's not been tested. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, my brother. But praise God, I love that. I think that's going to stick to me today with a lot of things. Rejection it's a redirection. I appreciate that, and I thank you. If you finish it, and I appreciate that, because we all have different perspectives and different experiences, and I guess like everyone else here at this table, I came to this truth about 11 years ago, and but I was on a journey too. Prior to that, I had been involved all my life in the Christian church, and I couldn't get answers to certain things. And a lot of times when I pose questions to ministers and to people may come by the house, different denomination groups, and they couldn't go to the scriptures. And for the most part, it was a by and by. You will understand things by and by. But when Yahweh, I heard of Yahweh's name. I heard that name in 1983 or 84 when I was in college in a history course. And the professor made a statement, and I was in a lecture. I'll never forget it. But he said something about the civilization of the Near East, and the God of the Hebrews was Yahweh. So, and I'm back in the auditorium, and I heard that. And I said, wait a minute, I'm a Christian. I'm a Baptist. I've never heard of Yahweh, that God has a name. His name is God. But like most people, I thought it was God, the Lord. And so, but again, it was just something Yahweh wanted me to hear. He didn't give me a spirit to go and start researching and to pursue that. It was just something He wanted me to hear. And lo and behold, throughout the course of time, I heard the name Yahweh put in different contexts, different Hebrew camps or situations. Of some of the brothers over in Israel that are there now, when they have that. But I would go to the bookstores, but the Spirit didn't move me. They would call on, they would say Yahweh, Yahshua, but it was something. It wasn't. It didn't lead me anywhere. I couldn't do it. But that's just the Spirit. But at some point, like most of you, some of you, I couldn't use that term anymore, the Lord. I started using the Most High. I started using God, even Yahshua. But I came to that point where Yahweh brought me to the camp, to a Hebrew congregation. And just like Brother Uriah said, that was the refreshing thing for me. I was getting that word line by line and going open to the book, and that sustained me. And Yahweh bring you where He wants you to go, to get you solid, where you can eat meat, and then you can be able to discern the word and rightfully, discern His word and understand things. But the bottom line is, I was always wanted to go to the Spirit, because I never lose my mind. Y'all always keep in my right mind. Like, it's not giving, don't get caught up in a cult mindset. Don't get caught up in man, the physical man you can see.
That's right.
Because I'm dealing with that brother I can't see, the Mashiach, Yahshua. Now, I can't see him. I've never met the Messiah. I've definitely never seen or heard the voice of Yahweh. And I've never seen or heard the voice of Yahshua as well. Heard his voice and seen his form. So everything, but I learned how to read this word. And so I know that Mashiach is telling me how to behave and how to act. And so when I see behavior contradicting that, and we're supposed to be in the body of Mashiach, and attitudes and, you know, and harshness. And, and sometimes you gotta be harsh about keeping, you know, to keep people from deviating from this word, meaning going out there and sinning. You gotta go and catch a brother and say, hey, what are you doing? You're married. Why are you with another woman? You know, or let's be honest, brother, that's another man's wife. Now you're supposed to go to that brother. You're supposed to go to him and check him. Right, those are, because that's the thing unto death. I'm gonna say that, brother. Yeah. Right? But that's not the type of stuff I'm talking about. But when you see, you don't want to hurt them, tear people down. Like what you said.
And I'm sorry to cut, like you mentioned attitude, like I think, and it's
But I wanted to let me finish this because I want to make sure I get this point because I want to just share this so for me, when it came to a point where I was talking to this brother, and to be honest, I was dismayed. To be quite honest, I felt like, is this real? Are people really act? And I've been wasting my time, and that's when the flesh gets in. And it's like you said, I wasn't turning from Yahweh, but the enemy, I think we've all said that, the enemy will use that as an opportunity, like you said, it's for you to sit down. I got him now. I got Yehuda now.
he ain't doing nothing.
He don't do nothing. He don't do nothing. And so the brother was saying, Brother Uriah was telling me, well, I'm gonna, I have to just read the Bible on a Zoom channel or whatever. I'm gonna just do something. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just don't even know. But that's me. But Yahweh always had a different plan. So he brought me to, just like you were saying, but we waiting on you. Waiting on me and who is them? I haven't been talking to, I wasn't talking to you about getting together doing anything together. We were just talking about, well, I'm going this way, brother. And he said, well, I'm going to go this way. And then you, brother. So Yahweh brought me here. So when we decided this, well, let's just get together on Sabbath.
Oh yeah.
We just got together. That's right. There was, and then from that, Yahweh opened up this thing for us to. We went through. The Spirit gave us the name, Keepers of the House of Life. We went through different things. The Spirit said, "This is what I want." We said, "Keepers of the House of Life." But on a personal note, I've been through those things like all of us have been through, and for me, I have to deal with you may not know I use a wheelchair. I use a wheelchair. You might say, what? Yeah, but because I've gone through things in my life that I thought I would never be able to overcome. But from that thing that happened to me in 1985, I got hurt. But Yahweh has been merciful. He brought me from the sick bed. He got me through. Made a way for me to get through school. He made a way for me through everything, get my education. And the only thing I knew to say, bless me with 3 beautiful children, and all of that from that position of using this chair. But the catch, but when I got in this truth, I remember I said I couldn't get no understanding. Sometimes I ask questions, why did this happen to me? Why did you allow this to happen to me? But sometimes when you go into the Word and be in an environment where you're reading from that Word all the time, and when you hear Moses, And he said, I can't speak. And the Most High is telling him, well, who makes the dumb? Who makes the blind? Not I. Wait a minute. You know, he formed, but he allows whatever to happen in our lives. Just like when the Mashiach went to the blind brother. You know, he said, who's saying? This man or his parents or the father? He's born blind. He said, no, it's not like that. But he was put in this situation for this purpose now, to glorify for me, the Son of Man, to come on the scene. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But I think that's in John 9. I think it's John 9. But it was for that purpose. And the Mashiach healed him. But he was blind for that purpose. Yeah. So I'm not speaking anything beyond but myself, but I can look at it. Who would have thought I would be here all these years later? Not only in the Word, teaching, learning at that Hebrew camp, and learning. But then Yahweh would say, well, look, it's time to break you off a little bit. I'm going to put you in another forum with these brothers. You know what I'm saying? So, but Yahweh uses who he wants to use. He uses the weak things of the world to confound the strong. Yeah. So Yahweh put me in this opportunity. So I'm very serious about the keepers of the house of light, because of not just the title of the group, but this is a work. This is a ministry. And so I'm blessed to be in the presence of these brothers. You know, we're not perfect, but we got that same spirit. And we're trying to do those works to reach out to you and others. Now, Nick, I cut you off, but that's where I was coming from. I want to give you an opportunity. I know you want to land back on something I was saying.
Yeah, you mentioned attitude, and then the Spirit just brought to me, and it's like, and I understand, but I don't understand. Like, you know, us as a people, when we get this knowledge, some of them can't handle it. They get puffed up. You know what I'm saying? When you mention attitude, and that's the problem. Some people that got puffed up that you don't think you need to have a certain attitude or need to change your attitude. And what came up, just like the woman that was brought in adultery. I mean, you could just imagine how the Mashiach handled it. I mean, you can read and see what type of brother he was. If he was doing any shouting when he raised his voice, he was talking about the Pharisees, the hypocrites.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when they brought that woman, you know, he ain't yelling, "Oh, woman, what you did now?" You know what I'm saying?
Here you go again.
Yeah, here you go again. It's another one. He didn't talk like that. So, but people think they got this knowledge. Oh, you can talk this type of way. Oh, if I call you, we'll just say if I'm just talking about this type of people. If you get offended, that means you still haven't came out of the dark. Man, that's game. Come on, man. Let's stop doing it. Right. Let's stop doing it. You're playing with people. Right. And then and I'll finish this up. And the only thing I have a problem with this, and that goes to everybody that knows this word. Like, when you know the word, like, stop playing with people. Because you all are doing things, you're gonna make your brother or your sister transgress a law that's unto death. Because people come, it's like, just like the sister I was talking to, and then I understood what she was coming. She said, you know, you come out of Christianity and you find the truth, and it's like a bright light. You're like, oh shoot, you get that zeal, and then, you know, you go to a teacher, and then it's like, hold on, that's your experience. That ain't got nothing to do with this book. And then it's like you come there, you know, the Shabbat's supposed to be peace, but you anticipate your spirit getting vexed. You're like, oh shoot, well, I gotta listen to this. You know,
and I think, and that's absolutely great merit to that. You know, so, and we have to understand, it's not about being vexed. It's not about those things, but we just wanted to share to those watching that we did not just come out of the ethos from nowhere, poof, and here we are, the keepers of the house of life. Just like you, we've been blessed. We've gone through trials, we've gone through tribulations, we've gone through tests. Mm-hmm. But I thank Yahweh that He's given us an opportunity to do what we're doing today.
Praise God. I praise God for mercy. I praise God for my issue.
Oh, hallelujah.
For children that Yahweh listened, because through all those experiences they were taking.
Okay.
Wow. And this is what gives more gravity to the whole situation.
Exactly.
You know, because we see the effects of things. on them. So we take it very serious.
Yeah, we take it very seriously. And so with that, you know, I'm thanking brothers for sharing, and we hope even with that will be edifying to the viewers. But just to let you know where we're coming from. But let's go ahead and delve into our class today, brothers. And the title of this class today, brother, what's this class title today?
So we got Father Abraham's Legacy Continued, Part 4.
Part 4. Father Abraham's Legacy Continued, Part 4. We're going to begin this class in the book of Genesis, chapter 20. You know, as those who followed us last week, we know we were able to go through a lot of information with everything with the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities and those nearby cities. And we touched on Lot and Lot. You know, Yahweh, Abraham made an intercession with those three angels that appeared. It was an interesting colloquy between them. But in the end, Yahweh had mercy on Lot through Abraham's intercession, and he got him out of there. They were brought out. And the good thing about that, the angel told him, I can't do nothing while y'all here. Let's go. So that commandment had went down. Don't destroy that city with Lot and his people. But Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters, and he had other daughters, and they had husbands. And again, they thought when Lot was telling them, come on, let's go, this place is going to be destroyed. His son-in-law thought he was playing and joking. But yet they didn't leave. They stayed right there. And his daughters that were married, they stayed with their husbands. That's right. They didn't walk out on the husbands now. They stayed with the husbands. But that was their covenant with their husbands. Yeah. And they perished in Sodom. And we know that Lot slept with his daughters because they were of the mindset that humanity had been destroyed. And that they were going to bring seed for their father to continue in the earth, to continue the population. You know, that was their mindset. Yeah. It wasn't just lust, but they had a mindset. Yeah. They were thinking about something. Now we can say, well, that was wrong. Well, we can't say that because Yahweh made a nation. And with someone, I want to just cover those verses just quickly. Genesis 19, verses 36 through 37. And he's talking about the seed that was brought forth from Lot, sleeping with his 2 daughters. Would you read that, Uriah?
Verse 36?
Yes.
Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day.
So that's a nation. That's one nation. Moab.
38. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Benjamin. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
So that's another nation. So as we begin to read, you're going to know the children of Israel are going to come in and encounter with them. And they become a nation. They're going to be in the land. But this is what Yahweh, things are doing. He's allowing things to be done according to his will, permissive will. Because if he didn't want these nations to come about, he would just cut off Lot then.
He would have killed them. He could have just left them in the city of Sodom.
Right. Or, let them die in that cave. Well, I didn't kill them in Sodom, but I ain't doing any more for them.
It's deep. The wife turned back.
She turned back.
The wife was coming with them.
It was with them. That's right.
So
we know that story more. That's that Bible story. We know.
Because Yahweh was he would have had his wife. So I mean, Yahweh allowed that.
He allowed that. So, but that's beyond our understanding because we know when we get to chapter 20, we're going to see. We know who Abraham's wife. So Abraham is married to Sarah, right? And that's his sister. But so we're gonna jump into the book of Genesis chapter 20, and let's start it off with go ahead and start it off. Mick, I will start on this now, and just take that chapter.
Okay. Genesis chapter 20, verse 1. And Abraham journeyed from thence towards the south country and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur and sojourned in Gerar.
And I want to say, some of you who have what's that book you have there, brother? Yeah, let's show them this book. It is, what is it? It is entitled An Atlas of the Bible. Is it being shown? Atlas of the Bible. And as you're reading, as that brother just read in chapter 20, verse 1, he's mentioning the south country and where Abraham dwelled between Kadesh and Shur and sojourn and Gerar. Get your book. Get your book like this. So if you want to kind of track Abraham's journey, his sojourn, and that way you can get it brings that book alive for you. You see them, and you compare that map to today, those locations, the ancient map, the ancient places, with where you would be today in the land of Israel or Canaan, as they used to call it. Yeah, we could probably, if you want to put it up. I don't know if we have a map. When we get time, we'll put that up. But let's go back. I just wanted to just share that part. So go ahead and go to verse 2, my brother. You can start.
Okay, just Genesis chapter 20, verse 2. And Abraham said of Sarai's wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarai. But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man.
Oh,
You threatened him, folks.
off the top.
For the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. Which you can understand why he spoke like that. That's adultery. That's death.
That's right. That's right. Off the top. That's a sin under death, under the law.
I find my feet that Yahweh is speaking.
Yeah. He's speaking to him. Yeah. But this is why this book is so. All the nations want to be in this book and to be the primary actors. You can see why. They see why they want to be. But we're the people of the book. Well, that's okay. We'll continue, brother.
Okay, Genesis chapter 20, verse 4. But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Master, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, she is my sister, and she herself said, he is my brother.
So he said he. Who said that to him? That's Abraham, right? Verse 5 said he. Abraham said of me. Go ahead. Repeat that again.
Said he not unto me, she is my sister, and she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. And Elohim said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me, therefore suffered I thee not to touch her.
Okay, right there. You can't even take glory from, you can't even take the glory. That's why we got to be very careful. I didn't do this. I've been doing this. Well, yeah, you might have had the integrity, but Yahweh said he can hold you back from doing something. The reason he didn't touch the woman was because Yahweh did that. So he can't, yeah, Almighty did it. Continue. Go ahead.
Look at the fact that Yahweh said that he gave up the nations over to work in the host of heavens.
Correct.
But he kept this man from sinning.
Right.
And also kept him in his law so he didn't even understand that would be something that would cause judgment to come upon him.
Well, as you can see, that word is, like you said at the beginning, that light, that light came into the earth when Yahweh spoke, let there be light. So even before the commandments, before Israel becomes a nation, right and wrong was already in the earth. Righteousness was already in the earth. But Yahweh, as we can see from that holy seed, Yahweh has a purpose. He's going to bring forth a nation ultimately through this seed, through this man, to create that nation unto himself, a nation of priests that the nation's supposed to learn from. But you're right, that Abimelech was very, he said, Abraham told me that was his sister. She even said out of her own mouth, he is my brother.
Right.
And I haven't done anything. I haven't, he said, I haven't transgressed, I've been acting so evil.
Right.
He said, yeah, you're right. But I'm the one, at the end of the day, I'm the one who did it, brother. You didn't do that. I kept it from him. You probably would knock the bedroom door down into it. If I didn't jump in this time.
In verse 4, he said, will you also slay a righteous nation?
There you go. Very good point. Yeah, very good point. A righteous nation. But they were keeping, because Abram, we're going to see, Abraham's going to speak something later on as we go in this chapter. It's going to see why he was concerned. So let's continue.
But my Ella, before you move on, I kind of stuck in that point, for a good while to understand what is righteousness. You see what I'm saying? And because I look and say, where did they get the word from?
Well, I would look at the word. I have to get into etymology of all of that. But we got to understand, like I said before, if Yahweh already, he created man, he had created and he had preserved Noah, and everybody comes from, all humanity that's alive now comes out of the seed of Noah, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, right?
That's right.
And Yahweh blessed those men. He had blessed them. So obviously, Noah was a preacher of righteousness. He walked with Yahweh. So they had to learn that from Noah. And we understand that they were all together at one point in the valley of Shinar. If you go back to our previous reading, Yahweh, they were getting ready to build that tower. Right? And Yahweh said, come on, let's go down. Let us go down and confound them, their tongue. Let us. Because if we don't do that, there'll be nothing they won't be able to do. Yeah. So obviously Yahweh had another plan. Man was going to do his thing. We're going to, wait, let's all stay together. Let's work together. Let's do this. So that's why all the languages are confounded. And now, but that don't mean they didn't have the spirit and understanding of righteousness that was already communicated. They had to just divide up according to their various tongues. Some went to the east, some went to the north, and others in that area. So that just goes back to what we were saying. That law was in the earth, it was already in the earth when Yahweh spoke it. Let there be light. We told the people that's what that means. That was the light, that's that law, that's that order. And Yahweh left a remnant in the earth to proclaim that law, that light, which was Noah, his 3 sons, and their wives. And everybody, and we know that we come out of Shem. So we know Shem, and this is Abraham's out of Shem. So Yahweh is preserving him. They all come down to Eber, and when you get all the way down to Terah, Yahweh brings out Abraham from among his people. But go ahead.
You said something that touched me a little bit about when Yahweh came down and conformed their language. So I just want to go into the book of Psalms 19, to show that it doesn't matter what language is spoken. Yahweh is still here. Once his truth and righteousness. I just want to maybe read 3 verses. Let me pick it up at verse 1. Psalms 19, verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of Elohim, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voices is not heard.
Praise God.
So if your language is righteousness, Yahweh incline his ear to hear, to listen.
Praise God. And again, these obviously these people, and Moshe is telling the story. You gotta understand, he's telling the story. He's been told this, the history. Moshe is not there. So we can't get too caught up because Moshe is telling him what Yahweh is written. So these people, again, they're civilized. They're not, but Abraham's a little nervous. So let's continue. We want to finish this scripture.
That's right.
In Genesis chapter 20, verse 7. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet.
Okay.
And he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are yours.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, those biblical terms. Okay, verse 8. Therefore Abimelech rose up early in the morning and called all his servants and told all these things in their ears, and the men were so afraid. Sore afraid, yeah. Then verse 9. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended? What have I offended thee? And thou hast brought unto me and on my kingdom a great sin. Thou hast done this deed unto me that ought not to be done. And Abimelech said unto him, what sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, because I thought,
here it is.
Surely the fear of Yahweh is not in this place.
That's right.
And they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, this is thy kindness which thou shalt show unto me. At every place whither we shall come, say of me, he is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen and men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleases thee. And unto Sarah he said, behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee. And with all others thus she was reproved. So Abraham prayed unto Elohim, and Elohim healed Abimelech and his wife and his maid servants, and they bare children. For Yahweh had fast closed up all the wounds of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Great job. So I think the only thing I want to point out in verse 7, and we read that again, Nick.
On verse 7, now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine.
Well, we see right here, Yahweh declares who his prophets are.
That's right.
Declares Abraham is a prophet. And so he said, Abraham will pray for you. My prophets will pray for you. But you better restore that. You better restore the woman. But so when we look at Abraham, we see a different component of it. And he indeed prays for Abimelech in verse 17 that you just read. And obviously the wombs of the people, of the women, wombs were open and mean that they were able to conceive and have children. So Yahweh is with Abraham and Sarah. But again, I say to you, now we had a situation when he went into Egypt when his name was Abram.
That's right.
And her name was Sarai.
That's right.
We discussed a couple of Sabbats ago, maybe last episode, where we said, well, maybe at that point, Abram at that time was thinking only, maybe the promise was only for him. See, and Sarai, she probably wasn't in it. Just, he carries the seed. But we know later on, her name is changed to Sarah, and it was told that she is going to bring forth a son.
She named it.
Right. Huh?
That's it. She lied outside.
Yeah, she lied. So, but here we go, Abram again. Now his name is Abraham. And he don't turn his wife over again. Now what do y'all think? But now he's turned her over to Abimelech. Now what do y'all think? Yeah, but what do you think about that? I want to know about, well, why would he do that again? This was discussion. Now he knows that Sarah's supposed to bring forth the holy seed. Right? His son. His only son.
Being flesh. That's what
Okay, well, let's expound on that.
Because, was it a lack? It wasn't a lack of faith, but I think he just feared This is what he said. He said, I didn't know if this was a righteous nation. Surely I didn't know if you all kept any kind of law, or if it was any kind of, what kind of nation you were. So he said, look, I told my wife, just do me this kindness. In any city that we go, tell them people that you're my sister. And I'm gonna tell them that I'm your brother and you're my sister.
But can you be, but can you have faith when you're in fear? Can we say you had faith, but Yahweh didn't impute anything against him?
Right.
That's the first thing, let's be honest. But we're just speaking.
Well, Yahshua had faith, but he feared.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's one of the attributes that we all have, from this body, this earth body. This earth body is made up, not to go forever. We have to encounter with everything. But, to write a little bit of what you were saying, I want to look at, if you don't mind, verse 7, just one word. When he said, he is a prophet. But in verse 9, he said, Abimelech, said to Abraham, on my kingdom. He said, let me read that verse.
Yeah, just read it.
Yeah, he said, then Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, what hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and my kingdom a great sin? Abraham lied to him.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Well, he lied to him. But then again, my question is, he lied. But the question on the table is, how can you have faith? He has fear of this nation. He's always talking to him. But I want to make sure we go one at a time.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we can follow us. Now, the question was, you said he had, the Mashiach was afraid.
Right.
That going back to the body, as you just said, with flesh, he's a human being. So he's still living in a situation where he's seeing a lot of things. And so he's still...
He said, if it be your will, let this cup pass before me.
Correct. He didn't really want to get that will.
I'm a drinker, but he feared.
Yeah. So we can, so now you got that high standard. You got the patriarch Abraham, and you got that seed on the other hand.
Right.
So now what you're saying, you're right. I want to make sure that we know he's a prophet. It just said that in verse 7. And then you're saying, yeah, he did lie. So go ahead. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, verse 11. I was going to build verse 11 where it said, because I thought, and Abraham said, because I thought surely the fear of Yah is not in this place.
That's right.
So what is exactly the fear of the Most High? That's what I have to, look a little deeper. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to learn about what Elder was saying. If you go to verse 12, he said, did he really lie? Because he said, yeah, indeed, she is my sister. She's the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. So I was going to say, he came clean.
He came clean with it. It's like, it's technically she is.
But technically you lied.
But I lied. But I did.
When you,
my wife, though.
yeah, when you,
I guess that's what they call it.
when you withheld information, withheld information.
Right.
No. Yeah, he lied. But,
back from that.
as what you were saying, the question was, why did he lie? Because he didn't know that the fear of Yahweh was in this place. He did not know that this nation was like a righteous nation. You see what I'm saying? So I was just tying in both, verses together.
So what we have to look at when we're asking these questions, we're asking them from a perspective of hindsight. We're looking to be able to evaluate. So we got questions. Obviously, he's a human being. He's fearful. So he lied to preserve his life. But he lied to the detriment of Sarah.
Yes.
So we have to understand. Let's just call it. Let's look at what it is. That's weak. We say look weak. Yeah, because so he put her. So he put her in the same position again. The Egyptian king could have slept with her, and Yahweh had to make an intercession
Right here.
And then here again, Yahweh had to intervene directly, that angel intervened directly to ensure that there would not be any type of defilement of Sarah. So that's what it's all about. So again, it shows you that with Yahweh, all things are possible. You have to, but his strength. But what did he say to him? Let's go back. I want to go back into this covenant, and so we can think about it a little bit, because this thing is so deep that I'm trying to find it now. But we have to understand that he doesn't have to even be able to be. You don't have to be afraid. But even with us, sometimes we might know that Yahweh is with us, but guess what? We are afraid, and we're put in.
Are you talking about chapter 12?
I'm trying to find it now. I think that may be where it is. But the bottom line is, here it is. Yes. He'll be his reward. I'm going to give me a minute. I'm going to find it. But at the end of the day,
but
we see. Go ahead.
As you go there, there's a thing. There's a little thing right here that's pointed out to us. What could we say about our sisters? Our sisters. You can say her.
They went.
Yeah, I mean, she obeyed her husband. That's a virtuous sister.
That's right. That's what they call them, daughters of Sarah in the book of Revelation. Right?
Praise God. Praise God for our sisters too, because they will go into the extent to do the same thing that Sarah done here.
It's like people saying she recently defiled.
Yes.
But she was being obedient unto her husband.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
That's deep. No, we can even see that until my elder brother.
And I think again, Yahweh already in that covenant said, "I'm going to be with you."
right.
I'm going to be with you, and that manifests itself right there. That he had to come in and clarify that thing. Sometimes we make a mess of things. Sometimes we're blind. We open our mouth too fast. And we may say something, and Yahweh, if you had that faith, Yahweh would deliver you. But sometimes we try to figure it out in a fleshly manner. Same thing with the birth of Ishmael. They were trying to carry out that promise to get that seed to the extent that Abram was willing to say, "Okay, I'll take your handmaid, Sarai, Hagar." And indeed, he was fertile. He had a son, but that wasn't the purpose. That wasn't the promise, right? It was going to be a son that comes from your bowels, Abram, and that's what that promise was about. That Yahweh's going to be with him. But now we're going to get ready to go into chapter 21. My brother Mick Palmer.
No, it's before you go into chapter 21. Could we look at, because you were saying where Sarah did not defile.
She was not defiled.
Defile herself.
She didn't have any choice. If Yahweh didn't intervene, she would have been defiled.
True.
So now I'm looking at this verse 16, exactly verse 16. And he said unto Sarah, and unto Sarah he said, "Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes, and to all that are with thee, and with all others." Thus she was reproved.
So he had to check it.
So pretty much the way I look at it is just like, you remember when Rebecca, she didn't have her veil and her, or cover her face when he went to meet Isaac.
Right.
And when he asked the servant, he said, "Who's that coming?" He said, "My master's coming." And she had to hurry up and cover her veil. So this was like, a covering, used in a way to cover that she's covering, she's not defiled. even though Abraham lied, put Sarah in, not a good situation right here. Yeah, so let's use it as a little cover.
Well, yeah, and that's why this is why he compensated. This is what the compensation is for.
Yeah.
To say, look, y'all put me in a bad situation, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm giving you a brother. But how much did he give him? He gave Abraham, he said, 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to be a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee. He said, so he's doing that. He did it in all of the witnesses. So, hey, if I've offended this woman, anyway, I'm doing it not only as Yahweh reproved me, I'm gonna, here's your wife, and for any issue, here's compensation. They call that, compensation for doing the wrong. But he wasn't really in the wrong, but he's still trying to make that which is right. So therefore,
you know what? I challenge that because the Spirit brought to me, was he in the wrong? Because he didn't do anything.
No, okay, good.
And then what the Spirit brought to me, Yahweh had to come and see him because he's breaking the Mashiach law. Like once you think about the act, what's next?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
the Mashiach law wasn't in the world at this time.
Yeah. But we know, I understand, but you don't break the law if you're thinking in a manner,
But righteousness is in the world.
Yeah.
See, that righteousness of what is right and wrong, because the brother is saying, why would you put me in a position like we just went over in 9, verse 9. Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, what hast thou done unto us?
Yes.
Why would you do
that
this?
thing?
That was so, well, I was afraid at the end of the day. I had to do it. I didn't think, now, there's nothing to say that they would have killed Abraham. Yahweh didn't say that y'all truly are wicked people, right? Because we got a different verse in verse 6. And Abraham, and Elohim said unto him in a dream, I know that thou did this in the integrity of thy heart. So he said, you were righteous. He wasn't going. He didn't do anything. He didn't think that was another man's wife. He had no suspicion. Nothing. So as the king, he was saying that he didn't have integrity in his heart. Like you said, that he didn't do anything wrong. But Yahweh said, but also Yahweh, even with everything else, he said, for I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. So in this thing, I guess it's an opportunity it's a learning moment for Abraham. Yeah, a faith moment for Sarah. But when you're dealing with, so Abraham, but this book is meant for us, for instruction. Torah means instruction. This is to help you function today. When you read these type of things, we're not just going over the history, but you should be looking at how does this apply today. You can't prejudge people. They're not worthy to hear the truth because he look a certain way.
No, don't do that.
They live in a certain place.
Right.
Stereotype.
Look at what the man said.
Stereotyping people. Prejudice them.
Look at what the man said earlier in verse 9. He's in the latter part of it. He says, what have I offended thee? And this was laying back to what my brother Mick was saying, because he did have a conscience toward Elohim.
Exactly. There it is.
Yes.
There it
He
is.
said, thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. Why you do this, man?
That's not even
Come
comfortable.
to come to me like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Why you don't even get down like
You
that?
don't do this kind of thing. Well, I didn't know. That's all he could say. Abraham could say, well, I verse 11. Yeah. Because I thought surely the fear of Abraham, the fear of Elohim, is not in this place. And I think that we went to, when you look at that fear of Abraham, that fear of Elohim, and these are the things that we can't be very careful, because we're looking at one man, Abraham, right? And we're gonna keep moving. But go ahead. I want to get I know you're moving something. Where you want us to go?
Well, your team moved pretty fast. Okay, but Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. Just one verse.
Okay.
So, Yeah, let's get it. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge,
Right.
but fool despise wisdom and instruction.
Praise God. And these are the things that, as I'm saying, that fear of Yahweh was in the earth. His knowledge, his law is in the earth.
Yes.
This is what we want to keep saying from Genesis 1 to where we are now. In Genesis 20, we just finished with verse 18. Don't think that Abraham is the only person in the earth at that time, him and Sarah, his house, that have any type of righteous behavior. Abraham is there for a purpose, to bring forth a son that Yahweh's going to make that covenant with, right? Up until and bring forth the 12 tribes of the house of Israel. That's the and he made a covenant with him to give that land to his seed after him. And that's what's going to be done. So these are just the things this brother's going through. But there are other people. And this king is one. They were all doing certain things in that time, having more than one wife. Because if we look at it in verse 11, when he said in verse 12, he said, indeed she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. Well, his father's name was T-Rock. And he obviously had more than one wife. He had a wife, I'm talking about real situation, but he had more than one wife.
Yeah.
This was the custom of that era. I think we kind of think, well, I can do that too. You're not living 4,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago. That was the custom at that time, right? And the things they did at that time. It's not for you to think you're going to bring every component of that culture to pass the day.
If I should add a little bit onto that, my brother, we look at it, we're supposed to look toward a spiritual kingdom. That's what we share.
That's right.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
right. That's what that's pointing to.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
So
right.
it's not about the flesh anymore.
No. He's going to try to create you that where you won't have to be in a situation. Eternal life is abiding in us under the blood of Mashiach and that baptism. That's what we're looking for, to get that body like him if we're resurrected. And if we're not dead, when we return, obviously we're alive when we return, we'll be changed into 2025 so that we'll be able to live in that kingdom 1,000 years up until the time where he has to give that kingdom back to the Father.
Praise yeah.
So these are the things that, like you said, this is what we're looking toward, my brother. We look for a spiritual home, a spiritual kingdom, things that we can't, we're not even able to articulate it in everyday language. So these are the things that we need to be mindful when we read about the patriarch Abraham. He's not. We're seeking a kingdom, and I think that's the most important thing. So, Brother Obi, you're going to be able to start on chapter 21.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to move on, and now we're going to really see, finally, Yahweh made this covenant about this child. We even told him we're going to name it Isaac. So now we're getting ready to go into that. So we're going to let Brother Obadiah start this off in chapter 21
Yes, sir.
of the book of Genesis.
Genesis chapter 21, verse 1. And Yahweh visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did unto Sarah as he had spoken.
Okay.
For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which Elohim had spoken to him.
Then those angels come to him, those three angels,
Oh, yeah.
before he destroys Sodom.
Yeah.
So according to the time of life.
That's right. And the time of life is what?
9
9
months.
months.
Yes, sir. Verse 3. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. That's deep. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me to laugh. so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children son? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking.
So the son, that's Ishmael?
That's right.
Ishmael? Okay.
Sir. Verse 10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
Now she had just made a prolific statement, because we already know Ishmael was not going to inherit. It was not going to be a split of the inheritance. Everything was going to go to Isaac.
That's right.
The son of the free one. Let's just make it simple for everybody to understand. When he died or when he got ready to give everything away, it was going to Isaac. You know, and Isaac would take all that, even though he's not the firstborn.
Right.
But he is the firstborn according to Yahweh, that spirit, because that's the perfect thing. He's the free. You got the handmaid who's bondwoman, and you got the free one. We are born of the free woman. We're of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So as you study in the gospel, you'll find out. Paul talks about that. We're free, no matter what this captivity is, but spiritually, we're free.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is what she lays it out to Abraham. Now, what does Abraham do after that?
Verse 11. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. In all that Sarah has said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Esau shall thy seed be called.
There it is.
Now that's heavy.
That's heavy. Now, those of us who are married, see, sometimes we gotta, when you hear, you gotta be careful that cult-like conversations and word. Oh, the woman is ain't this, the woman ain't. You know, you gotta be, wait a minute. Why are you demeaning our mothers and sisters and daughters like that, and wives? Because if you had a good, you see, Sarah was a holy woman.
That's right.
And Sarah told him, what did Yahweh say? Yeah, you do what she told you. Yeah. See, sometimes we'll walk out here, I'm gonna do what I want to do, woman.
Can't tell me what to do.
I'm the man now. I'm a Hebrew, big time Hebrew Israelite. I'm the head of this household.
Right.
And you go right out there and destroy your family. But look at
it, my elder. Look what Sarah has done for Abraham. 2 times.
Right.
She has put her life on the line.
Right.
Yeah, to save him.
Yeah.
And then not only that, it wasn't a lack of her faith. She wanted the promise to come to pass that Yahweh
That's
made
what
to
I'm
Abraham.
saying.
Yeah. She said, take my hand.
Take my hand.
Not being
I
selfish.
give you the seed.
Yeah.
I want you to have the seed.
Right.
You know. And then it turned back on her. She said, get up out of here.
You gotta go.
Yahweh really want that thing to come out of both of us.
Yeah, and that's what he said will come out of it. Come out of your mouths, and she's going to be a mother of nations.
That's right.
You know, and he meant that. But that spirit that Yahweh spoke to Abraham. See, and Abraham is it, and y'all gotta make sure listen. And Abraham before he could, because he loved his son Ishmael.
I know, yeah.
That's right.
It's don't think that he didn't love his son.
Right.
But Elohim said unto him, let it not be, don't be hurt.
He comforted him.
Be comforted.
Yeah.
He comforted him.
Comforted.
Yeah, he knew he troubled him.
Of course, man.
I hear you about this son, but hearken to your wife, man.
Talk to your wife on this thing. Continue, brother. What does he do? What does Abraham do? Does he do something different? I ain't going along with what Yahweh said. I love my boy. Go ahead, that's what he do.
Verse 13. And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation.
Okay.
Because he is thy seed.
He is thy seed.
So that's important.
I'm not going to
He's not the seed.
I hope your day is going well so far.
That's fine, but he is that seed. You know, he came out of you, Abraham. You're my man.
You're my
man. You're my friend.
I got you.
I got you. You already showed me.
Yeah.
You're going to show me later on how much you love me.
Mm.
So we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
If y'all will.
Oh man.
Because he is your seed, verse 14.
Verse 14. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water.
One bottle?
One bottle.
Okay.
And gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child.
Wow.
And she sat over against him, and lifted up her voice, and wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the lad. And the angel of Elohim called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for Elohim has heard the voice of the lad, where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation. And Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad drink.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Verse 19. And I think there's that miracle. Yahweh opened her eyes. The angel opened her eyes.
And then they call it oasis.
It's oasis, yeah. You know, it's oasis in the desert. But it was real. It wasn't a mirage. It was a real deal.
That's neat.
And we don't know how close we are to a breakthrough sometimes in life. We might be going through things in life. You know, and I think the people that are watching, you might be going through something right now. But you don't really know how far you are from that oasis, from that relief. Particularly if you're calling on Yahweh. And we know in his son's name that he will hear our prayers.
That's right.
But we just, you just got to press on though.
That's right.
You can't give up.
Don't quit.
You know, don't quit.
Yeah.
Don't, my mom used to tell me, son, give out, but don't give up. Hagar gave out, but you know she thought that was it. But Yahweh was with her. So, but now we know better. I know about this word. I know about. So I might give out, but I have to just sit back and say, has Yahweh brought me this far? Truly, to leave me in the desert with no water,
Die off.
just die, to suffer, and just lay here and put my child in a bush. Just, I don't even want to see her suffer or see him suffer. But we know our Elohim is a what? Is a merciful Elohim.
That's right.
Go ahead, my brother. You had just, my brother, you're right. You just finished up verse 19, and we're on verse 20.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. And Elohim was with the lad, and he grew, and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him out of the, and his mother took him a wife, rather, out of the land of Egypt.
Okay.
That's
So she went back to her people,
right.
and found him a wife. So he was a Hebrew, he married to an Egyptian,
Right.
and we have to understand if you're going to use complexion, Abraham looked like us.
That's right.
You know, because they didn't walk around calling themselves black. And antiquity, that's a new term of terminology, a byword used to describe us in this captivity.
That's right.
But you know what, my elder? Are you through?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just looking back over verse 20 and looking at Yahweh was with Ishmael all the time.
Right.
So the word was still with Ishmael.
What did Yahweh say to him? He said, because he is your seed.
Yes.
Verse 13. And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
I'm going to bless him.
I'm going to bless him. I can't speak for everybody else, but that one is going to be blessed. I'm going to take it, that's Abraham's seed.
Yeah, praise Yahweh.
Abraham will have seed, you know, throughout this world. These
Now,
three nations.
that sounds predominant because we have people who declare themselves to be descendants of Abraham.
Yeah.
Correct.
And they claim Ishmael to be the lineage that brings them and connects them to Abraham.
That's right.
So, I mean, and that's factual.
Yeah.
They're not saying nothing wrong.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's something when they say that, okay, that the covenant was made with. A covenant was made with with Ishmael, with Abraham rather,
Right.
regarding
He'll
his
make
son.
one nation.
I'll bless him.
Yeah.
Make one nation.
But
You know.
with you saying that, you know, my younger brother, I run into one of those guys, and he was saying the same thing to me, and you know, I agree with him. But the point, I said, who did the covenant the Most High made it with? He couldn't say Ishmael. He made it. He didn't know because his whole entire life, you know, was taught to believe that, yeah, the covenant was made with Ishmael.
Right.
That's heavy. Not to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Just thinking, like, you know, when you deal with the religion of Islam, and they say the founder, Muhammad, he says that he received a vision, right?
Right.
Well, but I'm putting that out there to say when Yahweh appeared, Yahweh didn't appear, but he had an angel to speak to Abimelech.
Right.
You know, so was there any validity? We know that, you know, but I'm saying, was there any validity to that? Because we say Yahweh don't deal with no nations, but we just read where he came to the king of Jerome.
Right.
Told us, I didn't even suffer you.
When you have to look at it when he is dealing with his covenants.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because he's not limited.
Yeah.
Yahweh can build what he want to build.
Yeah. It's on his nature.
He's dealing with people all the time. The world, he has not cast all of humanity in a pit and say, y'all blessed out there.
No.
That's not what because he's going to be a blessing. He's going to bring Abraham to be a blessing to what?
All nations. All nations.
All nations.
That's right.
So Yahweh has a divine plan that we read that he's going to bring his creation back into the hands by one. You know, all sin by one. You read that now?
That's right.
And we know all are going to have salvation, and this earth will come back by one. He's going to redeem all of it by one.
Yeah.
Righteousness, true righteousness.
Yeah.
Through one. That's Yahshua. That's like Yahshua HaMashiach, or Yahshua the Christ, or Yahshua the Messiah. But it's all about him. He's the one. He's that guy. But we're seeing that we can't put limits on Yahweh.
Oh, no.
You know, we are the covenant. It's Yahweh's covenant, right? So it's a conditional covenant that we're under right now. So, but praise Yahweh for the Messiah that helps us keep those commandments in a heightened way. That we say in the spirit. It's all about the spiritual things. That's what we're looking for that. But praise Yahweh, man. Continue, my brother.
Yes,
So when
sir.
you
Verse 22.
okay.
Verse 22. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake to Abraham, saying, Elohim is with thee in all that thou doest.
Okay.
Now therefore swear unto me here by Elohim that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son. But according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me, and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water,
Okay.
which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. And Abimelech said, I knew not who had done this thing, neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it but today. And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What mean these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, For these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. Wherefore he called that place Beersheba, because there they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol the chief captain of his host, and they returned unto the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba, and called there on the name of Yahweh, the everlasting Elohim. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days.
Wow. See, and that's El Olam, and everlasting Elohim.
Elohim.
So we are. That's why it's good to get a good Bible that is set up for you to have some information, Schofield Bible. That's a good Bible to have because it provides you additional scriptural references as well as historical references that allow you to do some to start your research. When you research, you have to have a base point from something, and you build on that. You try to get to a conclusion on a particular matter as you research. But you see, Abimelech, and we're going to see later on, even with the later on, there's going to be discussion about this land and a dispute about this down the line. And I'm not going to go no further than that. But you see, Abimelech, hey, he recognized Abraham's a powerful man.
That's right.
He knew Yahweh came to him in a dream. Said, this man is a prophet. So he didn't want any trouble with Abraham. So, see, sometimes you got to make peace in the way. They weren't enemies, but he's making a, go ahead and let's work that. Let's patch this thing up. So I don't want this brother praying against me. I don't want him praying to Yahweh about me. Because Yahweh don't hear his prayer. But I think it also shows us something that Abimelech said, I was not aware. In verse 26, I wasn't aware of the dispute. I wasn't aware that my servants took that well by force until right now. So when your brother comes to you and tells you something, you deal with it. And that's what he wants to address it. That's how we supposed to deal with that's how we have to communicate. If we're in situations, I expect Nick to tell me something. I expect Uriah, and they expect me to come to them. But see, that's showing brotherly love. That's loving your neighbor like yourself. Because why would you sit there and harbor ill will? And the person is going about they may not even know that they have offended you.
That's right.
And you spend countless nights when you can't sleep, angry, right? And you find out when you finally say something to them, man, I didn't know that. I thought that was see,
like you say,
now you feel kind of like, man, okay, I wish I would have spoken to you. I wish I had brought it to you 2 years ago.
3 years ago.
15 years ago. I've been angry at you for 15 years. I thought you stole the basketball. No, I didn't. I didn't take the basketball in the court that day. Johnny did. I remember that. But again, this is a good example of trying to work things out, because, but one of the things I want to bring up in chapter 20, going back, is now we know Abraham, when he wanted to go get Lot, right? He had to go to the battle of the Kings, Slaughter of the Kings. He had 300 men born in his house and trained, and he armed them, right? And they went out, pursued them at night, divided themselves up in 3, and smote them, and rescued Lot and his household and everybody that got captured.
All the goods.
Well, so the question again, why was he? Well, he had some people with him. If you read chapter 20, it almost reads as if it's only him and Sarah. So, anybody want to talk about that? I mean, obviously, afraid. I mean, he's in Abimelech's land, but why is he nervous?
Abimelech could have had an army.
Yeah.
Could have had a whole host of men. Abraham just had some trained men that was in his house, but he might have been rising up against a nation that had a standing army ready.
That's true. That's a good point. And that's what I wanted to ask. Mick, you got anything on that?
Oh, no, just the same thing Obi said. Yeah.
Well, the answer, to write back on what Obi was saying is in verse 9. On my kingdom. Oh, can you have
Where's that in 9? Okay.
It's okay.
Me and my kingdom.
Yeah, oh, can you have a king without a kingdom? So it's not like a few hundred men. He has a kingdom. And he has an army, a standing army.
More likely than not, he has a standing army, or he has men ready to go.
Ready to
go.
go.
300 may not be nothing with 3,000 or 5,000.
30,000, yeah.
So, but I wanted to bring that up because people if you're reading, these things should be You know, you might read this 3 or 4 times. You know, the Spirit moved you to read it. Because we've been reading this book quite a while. I've read it several times. But again, that's just a little something to think about. You understand? So now we see that Ishmael has been sent on his way, and Yahweh promised to make him a great kingdom. And so we have chapter 22. And what I'm going to do, we are about 5 minutes left here. It appears that we're pushing it. And that's of the 2-hour mark, correct? Okay. So, but I think it's important to touch on chapter 22. Y'all want to let's touch on 22. And you're right, when you start this off, and at some point, depending on, we might get through all of it, but let's try.
Okay.
Chapter 22, the book of Genesis.
Okay, Genesis 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here am I. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Esau, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I tell thee of.
What? What? Man, it done took me. This boy came and took me to my son. I was 100 years old when this boy got here.
I sent Ishmael away.
I sent Ishmael away.
Oh,
I sent Ishmael away.
so I have only one more with me, my love of my life.
And you're telling me to go there to Mount Moriah and sacrifice as a burnt offering. And offer as a burnt offering. I'm quite sure that Abraham said, look, man, deal's off. I don't know what's going on. What's happening here? Let's see exactly what Abraham was. Imagine somebody, you hear a voice, you probably go to the hospital. I think I'm going crazy. If you saw it, you hear a voice telling you, sacrifice that boy, tell me. You're going to go to the perfect bedroom and tell your wife. So, you know, I'm thinking, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm going through I'm losing my mind.
Sleep.
I need some rest. I'm going to drive myself to the hospital.
I'm going to run away.
I'm running away. I'm hallucinating and I'm getting ready to commit a horrific thing that's in my mind. Well, you must be the devil. Right? This is how we would act.
But you know what,
Well, he's been walking with Yahweh.
Yeah.
No, that's different.
Look at the other. Look at the other side. You know, if you look, maybe other nations, they were doing sacrifice. They were doing human sacrifice too.
Right.
So on the second, you will think that one. Oh man, he wanted to sacrifice my son. So you know, even though you're a little bit heartbroken, he's still going to follow through with it because he's a friend of the Most High.
But let's see. Now that's a good point. But let's see if the scriptures bear that analysis out. You just made a point. But let's see what the scriptures say. That's what he was thinking.
Okay. Verse 3. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and cleaved the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which Elohim had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off.
Okay, 3rd day. Okay.
So it took him 3 days
Okay.
journey from Beersheba to the land of Moriah.
Right.
So we know that is a special place, Moriah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Verse 5. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both then together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
So now we see Isaac's a young man. So you see that Yahweh, Abraham is teaching his son. He's all, see, this is why we gotta understand that when you talk about the laws, you can see the Father's already, he's already knew. He heard burnt offering, he's where the lamb at.
Right.
He's been raised. This is what's going on with Noah. The same thing, so don't be surprised when you see other nations doing the same sacrifices. May not be unto Yahweh, and in some instances it may be to Yahweh, because you know you have Melchizedek, king of Salem. So he's a high priest, king and priest, right? So he would have done sacrifices. So those sacrifices would have been done unto whom? Yahweh. So those are just common things. But so the young boy had enough understanding to pose that question. Now let's go. Let's continue. Let's see what Father Abraham says.
Verse 8. And Abraham said, my son Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering, so that when both of them together.
Okay. So now, when I said, you said earlier that the other nations were sacrificing people and they're doing all the human beings and doing things unto their God. But I said, look at the scriptures there. This is not where, this doesn't seem like Abraham had bought into that. Because he said, Elohim will provide himself a lamb. But we know that Yahweh just told him, take your son and you submit him as the burnt offering.
Okay.
Right.
Go back to verse 5. Look at when Abraham was about to leave. He said, Abraham said,
I missed that. Go ahead, praise God.
Abide you here with the ass, and I, the lad, will go yonder and worship. And come
again.
He said, I'm going to come back. He said, we going to come back.
That's it.
So, was that faith?
Yes, that's faith.
He knew, well, if Yahweh take him, he'll give him back.
He'll give him back to me, resurrect.
Okay.
If he got to do what he got to do.
Yeah.
So
I didn't need to look.
No,
I'm just looking when Abraham said certain things to his son. He said, Yahweh provide. Those are like comforting words to his son. To let him know, don't worry about it. Even if I have to sacrifice you, but give him some comforting words.
That's right.
Okay, continue, my brother.
Verse 9. And they came to the place which Elohim had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Elohim, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
There it is. Yahweh only looks at Isaac as the only son. He is that holy seed, that the covenant and the air, everything's going through him. Okay, let's continue.
Verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh Jireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, Myself have I sworn, said Yahweh, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sun which is up on the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice.
Not some nations, not only the Israelite, Israel, all the nations will be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Sorry.
I said he Shema.
Exactly. He Shema. He listens. That's right. Praise God. I had to look that up. Double look. But continue, brother.
But you know, before I continue, I know we're out of time.
I want to wrap this up.
And I know you want to wrap it, but there's a very important thing that Paul said in Galatians chapter 3. You want to
Okay, let's go.
can slide there quick.
Okay.
And if we, you know. Galatians chapter 3. I'm going to pick it up at verse 13.
Okay, go ahead and continue. You read.
Yeah. Verse 13. Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being a curse for us.
Being made a curse.
Thank you. Made a curse for us, for it is written, "Cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree," that the blessing of Abraham might come unto the Gentiles through Yeshua HaMashiach, that we might believe, we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant, yet if it be confirmed, no man disannul it or added thereto. Now to Abraham and his seed, where the promise is made, he said not, and to seeds of many, but as of one, unto thy seed, which is Christ. Let me continue to verse 19. Verse 17. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of Elohim in Christ, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect. For if the inheritance of the law
Be of the law.
it is no more of promise, but Elohim gave it to Abraham by promise. So we see here, through Christ, all nations are going to be saved, you know, and I'm going to be blessed. Let's get back to Genesis chapter 22. I'm going to pick it up at verse 19. Verse 19. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things, it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she has also borne children unto thy brother Nahor. Huz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazel, and Pildash, and Jillah, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begot Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah. She bare also Teba, and Gaham, and Thahash, and Maacah.
Okay, praise God for that. And as we look at when we look at the situation in chapter 22, where Yahweh asked Abraham to sacrifice his only son. Mm-hmm. And we have to see and look at Esau as a prototype or a type of the Mashiach. Mm-hmm. It's a similar situation. You have the only begotten son of Yahweh, Yeshua Mashiach. Mm-hmm. He is going to be allowed to be sacrificed, mm-hmm. to redeem Israel and earth, humanity, out of the hands of Satan, out of the controllership, out of that rulership, to bring down his kingdom, as we talked about, as it was prophesied in Genesis, in the very first chapter of Genesis. We talked about that, and let's go back to Genesis 3, so we can understand, what the Mashiach is going to do in Genesis chapter 3. This is, again, we went over this in the class called the creation. And in Genesis 3, verse 15, it says, Yahweh is speaking to the woman, you know, and he says, and I will put enmity between, you got it? And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, you know, that's Israel, and her seed, that's Satan, the serpent, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. But it says, let me read that again. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel unto the woman. So we know that there's going to be a showdown, or so to speak, with this. But this seed, now we begin to see where this seed comes from. When Adam and Eve bring forth, you know, Cain and Abel, and we know what happened to Abel, then Seth, then that holy seed, then that seed, all the way up to Noah. In order to fulfill this prophecy, you have to have, he's selecting a seed unto himself. He's going to make a nation. And he's chosen Abraham, he chose Noah, first of all, out of that line of Seth. And then he blessed those 3 sons, right? So now we see Terah, the son of the father of Abraham. And now we see Abraham, he's selected for a purpose. He's made a promise to him. It's not of the law. It's not of the Abrahamic covenant. And we just kind of read that you're right, agree. This is a promise. So now we have Esau on the set. You know, now Esau is born, and it's giving you right here the segue later on that in verse 24, the last verse, chapter 22, the verse where you read. Well, just let you know that when Abram was going to send. He's going to go send for a wife, right? To his brother. His brother's name was Nahor. And Nahor's wife, when Nahor's died, his wife Bethuel is alive, and she's had 2 children that we know that's relevant to the story, Rebecca and Laban. And that's where he's going to go to get a wife. He's going to go back to his house, his father's house, to get a wife for Esau, right? And but again, I think we need to look at, as we look at this, think about the Mashiach, and look how willingly Esau was. Look Yeshua said, not my will, but thy will. And when you look at here, verse 7, he said, when he bind him, when he bind his hand, he says, verse 9, he says, and they came to the place which Elohim had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Esau his son, and laid him on the altar.
I'm sure he was fast. He was a young lad. I'm sure he was fast. He had speed.
Yeah, he could have ran away. I'm running out here.
He didn't even attempt.
No, he didn't attempt.
He talked back.
But isn't that what the Mashiach did?
That's right.
Isn't what he did? He didn't fight. Let me see.
No.
He didn't do any of those things.
53.
I'm going right there now.
You go right there.
Yeah, we'll go right there, brother. He's fast on the cross.
But you know what? It's a spirit, man. It's a spirit.
No, that's what I'm saying. Praise
It's a
God.
spirit.
So let's go to 53.
Well, you know, going to 53, just before you go to 53, I'm looking at verse 22. The book that we just came with, Genesis 22. And he said unto Abraham, my son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So that is prophetic.
Well, and that's what Yahweh has done.
Yeah.
He provided Israel, and we're going to hold up. I'm going to make sure you go there. Let's go to Isaiah 53.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we need to understand is that Yahweh did it all.
Yeah.
Israel did not.
Yeah.
Our fathers did not bring forth anything but to win. So Yahweh had to bring forth that true vine. You know, because Israel and Yehuda were the vineyard that Yahweh planted.
That's right.
Now, if you want to find that, that's fine. But we can Isaiah, I think it's 10. I think. But these are the things. But then when Yeshua declares, "My Father is the husbandman, and I am the true vine."
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Praise
so
God.
this is what you're saying, that it had to be Yahweh had to choose.
Right.
He had to do it.
You know,
people knew it was coming.
That's an excellent point you make, Elder. Like people today, our people reject the fact that you tell them that Yahweh chose a seed to represent him on the earth.
Right.
A lot of people are
I
misunderstood.
know, he loved everybody.
He loves everybody.
He loved everybody.
Look at Abraham. He had a son, Ishmael. That was his firstborn in technicality, in all technical terms. But Yahweh told him to look, thine only son, Isaac.
Yeah.
Thine only son.
Thine only one.
You're not
I
going
know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But I think that's what we're looking at. So when you see how you're looking at those things with Isaac, it's hard to ignore, you know, the similarities in the Mashiach, things to come in that perfect, you know, in that perfect situation. But let's read, Nick. You want to read that a little bit? And we'll just read in Isaiah 53.
What verse from where? Start at
Just start at 1.
Okay. Isaiah 53 verse 1. Who have believed our report, and to whom?
Reports.
What I say?
Who
Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He have no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
Okay, man. Go ahead.
Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, spiting. Let me read that. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken and smitten of Elohim and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgression, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and Yahweh hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted.
Okay.
Yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers. He is dumb, so he opened not his mouth.
Did Isaac open his mouth? Did his daddy bound him? It doesn't say he said anything there. Okay, he's like he was the lamb.
That's right.
He said, where's the lamb for the burnt offering?
Yeah.
He's looking at it, he said, well, Yahweh will provide. Yahweh will provide.
That's right.
So we seeing that prototype of Christ.
That's right.
Back here with Isaac.
That's right. Yeah.
This is the true Christ. This is Mashiach.
Yeah.
It's a shadow of things.
It's a shadow of things.
Shadow of things to come.
Verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken.
Well, who's the people? Who is the people? Israel.
That's right.
Right. Praise Yah.
Praise God.
Verse 9. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death.
Right.
Because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him. He had put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahweh shall prosper in his hand.
And he did the same, similar. It was with Isaac. He said, "You're gonna be a burnt offering," but the Yahshua is a sin offering. You got the whole burnt offering, sin offering.
That's right.
For his people, Israel.
Verse 11. He shall see of the travail of his soul and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge He shall see of the travail of his soul and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities.
Okay, it doesn't say everybody. The Mashiach is not, he didn't die for everybody. Because some of us, some people, I'm not saying about us, but there's some people are destined for the lake of fire. You understand that? Y'all understand that, right? I know you must understand that.
Of course.
You can't do anything about that, but that's not our job is to serve as watchmen and to tell you about these things. And whether you hear or forbear, that's your business. That's between you and Yahweh.
That's right.
As we said earlier, Yahweh brought us to this platform for a purpose. The
Praise
Spirit is moving so that we can get things together. And so we can speak these things. And we just want to show you, I want you to just finish it up, brother, but he is, he shall justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. See, you got to have that covering. You got to have that blood over you. Without the shedding of blood, there's no what?
Remission.
Say it again. There's no remission of sin.
I mean, looking at the animal, what did the animal do?
Right.
Did they commit any sin?
No, he didn't.
We are the one that committed the sin.
And I'm going to go right back. Give me a moment. And I'm going to go finish this. And we're going to hit what you just said. Go ahead, my brother.
Verse 12. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great.
Hallelujah.
And he shall divide the spoil with the strong.
Hallelujah.
Because he hath poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors. And he bare the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors.
Yeah, that word go many. Many means more than one. So now we don't know the number.
He said everybody.
He said everybody. So these are the things that we have to, when we're looking at that Isaac. Now let's go back. What brother Uriah was talking about. I want to show you that these things, we're not making this up. This is why you got to study this book. You can't just read it. You have to study, right? It's going to be a problem if you just, now when you go back, Uriah, since you read verse, go to chapter Genesis 22. No, I'm gonna give Nick. I gotta give Obi something. I'm sorry, Obi. Let me give Obi something. Genesis chapter 22, and would you read verse 13?
Yes, sir. Verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
There it is.
That's right.
In the stead of his son. That is substitutionary sacrifice.
That was a grace.
That's the grace. That's the grace. That's what those sacrifices were meant to do. In this particular situation, it was Yahweh said, "No, I'm gonna let you deal with this. I'm gonna provide."
That's right.
The sacrifice. But when it comes to us, Yahweh was proving his servant here, Abraham. And Abraham passed the test.
That's right.
He passed it with flying colors because he was getting ready to come down on him. But we who live in this fallen land, this earth, we need Yahshua was put on that storos, on that torture state.
Right.
He took all those things we just read in Isaiah 53. And that's what the Ethiopian, the Jew, going back to Ethiopia when he was reading. And it was Philip, right? Ran up on him. Philip ran up on him and said, wait, he's reading Isaiah 53.
That's right.
We just went over. He asked me, you know what you're reading? You know where it is? You go there, pull it up, look, get it, Uriah, while we're thinking, we're talking. But this is what I'm saying. That's what Yahshua did for us. He was that type of obedient unto death. Now, do you have that? I think we get the same. Hold on 1 minute. Read that footnote in your Bible, because this is what even when the editors of this book, of this particular Bible, wrote. I got it 22:9.
Yeah, I got it here. It says the typical lessons here are: 1, Esau was a type of Christ or Mashiach. He was obedient unto death. 2, Abraham, a type of father who spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all. And you can reference John chapter 3, verse 16, Romans 8:32. And then thirdly, the ram, which was a type of substitution, which the Mashiach offered as a burnt offering, well, the Mashiach rather was offered up as a burnt offering in our stead. So he was a substitution.
There we go.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be going straight to, if it wasn't for Yahshua doing what he had to do, being obedient unto death, we would have no hope. We all just be as dead men. You know, we may as well eat, drink. What did it say in 1 Corinthians 15?
We're gonna die tomorrow.
You're gonna die anyway, but you have no hope. Death is waiting on you. Only thing you got ready for you is Sheol, the grave.
That's right.
Now, you found that, my brother?
I think what you were looking for is in the book of Acts chapter 8, and pick it up at 26, just to make sure.
Philip, Acts 8.
Yeah. Acts, look about
Verse 26?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read it. So you go ahead and read it. No, you go ahead and read it.
And we're in the book of Acts chapter 8, verse 26. And the angel of Yahweh spake unto Philip, saying, Arise, and go toward the south, unto the way that goeth down to Jerusalem, unto Gaza, which is desert. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority on Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near, and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. The place of the scripture which he read was this: He was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so opened he not his mouth. In his humiliation, his judgment was taken away, and who shall declare his generation? For his life is taken from the earth. And the eunuch answered Philip and said, I pray thee, of whom speaketh the prophet this? Of himself, or of some other man? Then Philip opened his mouth and began at the same scripture, and preached unto him Yeshua.
Praise God. So this was so this is Isaiah 53. Brother just read earlier. Just read that. And we read that to show this was Isaac is a prototype or a similar Christ type situation. Correct. He was obedient. He was ready to die. He was obedient. He was just, he did what his father said. But that goes back to, sometimes when we go back, even going back to your new moon. What's that new moon entitled again?
He's like, oh no, come on, man.
If only I was a child again. Yeah,
but you see, when you're a child, you see all these things from a spiritual perspective. You're obedient. Didn't how we go there in the fruit of the spirit? Let's go back to that. Somebody go there. And Nick, you read that. But see, that brother Christ, see, you have to be like a child. This kingdom, the kingdom. So when you see these things, when you're talking about that fruit of the spirit, let us know when you're there, brother.
I'm there.
Okay, he's up in Galatians, right?
Galatians chapter 5, we'll start at verse 22.
And see, then think about it. To have that type of, let's read it. Let the book say it. I'm sorry. Galatians 5, that's what I want him to go. He's right on top of it. Go ahead, my brother.
All right, Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are the Mashiachs have crucified the flesh with the affections and lust. If we live in the Spirit, let us walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another.
See, praise God. And we say walking in the Spirit, that's walking in the Spirit of the law.
That's right.
That's not something you willy-nilly do. Because if you read, we're not going to go there, but in chapter Galatians 5, 17 through 21, it shows you the works of the flesh, lust. And so when you look at 22 through 24, you have to be born again, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
You got to become in that image of a child, like Yahshua said.
Yeah.
You got to be there. So then, you know how a child is, that they just love and they trust. They got peace in them. You know,
They're inquisitive. They always want to learn.
Right. And they feel you doing. They look at their parents as a prototype of a God, Elohim.
Yeah.
And they trust you.
That's right.
Yes.
Isaac trusted his father.
Yeah.
He just, let's do this. I don't know what daddy doing. Got my hand, he bounded me up like a sheep. You know, and we don't know what was going through that, but he was there. So I say, as Yahshua say, you got to be like one of these little children.
That's right.
See, that's what we don't understand. We want to do the opposite, right, in our life. Even in this truth, we want to be the opposite. We don't want to walk in the Spirit. We don't want to bear the fruits of the Spirit. A lot of times, we want to bear what? Go ahead and read 17 through 21, you're right. We want to bear in Galatians 5.
Galatians.
Let's show it all.
Galatians chapter 5, verse 17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and they are contrary the one to the other, to that ye cannot do the things that ye would. That you would. Verse 18. But if you be led of the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, sedition, and heresies. Verse 21. Envy, murderers, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh.
So don't deceive yourself.
Yep.
You have to walk in the Spirit. You can't give yourself over to these things and think that you're going to be all right. Oh, I just ask for forgiveness. I don't know. You rolling dice, man.
You know, Elder, I would encourage brothers and sisters that are listening to take a dictionary, a biblical dictionary, and look up those words.
Yes.
Because we may assume we understand what they mean. And
that's true.
I mean, these things have heavy connotations. You're reading about emulation. But we witness these things.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, brother.
You know, take note to it like that's not of significance. These are not, we should look up these words and take the time to get an understanding.
Exactly.
Make sure we're not practicing any of these things.
Exactly, my brother. That goes harking back to what you said before. Reading is one thing, studying is another. Yahweh tells you, Yahshua, books say, study to show yourself approved.
Yeah.
So how can we can't go talk to anybody about this word unless we put some time in this book. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to hear my opinion up here. They're not tuned in to hear me, per se, talk about my opinion, what I think. Well, tell us what the book's saying, bro. Yeah. Open up this book to us.
You know, my elder. You know, we read there the Shema, and that's what basically the Shema is about. You hear and you listen. Right. Hear that sound that coming in, that word. You don't let it go through, then it come through one and go through the other ear. Right. You let it resonate right here and process it. So these words that we are reading, we need to allow it to process in our brain.
That's right.
Then from there, then we do, exactly what the word says to do.
I agree that we have to do, but we also understand, some of us who have been in the truth or in the word, but those lost sheep, people who are just coming into this word, we want to easily entreat you. So when you hear us, we want to break things down. We want to make sure it's simple so that you can understand it. So we give you this milk. That's why we want to make sure we explain what's the significance of Isaac and what's the significance of Abraham. What was the significance? So we're trying to go through it step by step by step so that you will understand the words that are coming out of our mouths.
Praise God. The Mashiach alluded to that.
Go ahead, man.
Matthew chapter 7.
Sure it is.
Just 1 through 4. 1 through 5.
Right.
He says, judge not that you
Hold on,
be
let me get that too. I'm sorry. Matthew 7?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Matthew chapter 7,
Okay.
verse 1 through 5.
Okay.
Take it to 6.
1 through 6, yes, ma'am. Verse 1. Judge not that you be not judged.
Oh, wow.
For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?
Wow.
Or how will thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast you your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you.
Oh, praise God. Praise God. That's power. I think it speaks about being a hypocrite. You know, sometimes it's easy to see, and we're all guilty of it.
That's right.
Don't get me wrong. We're all guilty of that. That's why it takes this word, this Holy Spirit of truth to remind us. It might catch us, you might be in your car. Spirit bring it to you. And, you know, I was a little hard on such and such. I did say that. And then here I am doing the same thing. I don't get the same thing. Right. So we have to be careful because Yahweh is nothing to play with. He will bring it back to you in a way that you can't imagine. And you'll sit there.
What the hell I've done wrong?
What I don't done? And then he bring it to you.
Oh,
And
man.
that mind come back. That memory come back. See, it's better to what? What did the Mashiach say in response to that? He said, if you got all with your brother, if you be getting ready to sacrifice, and if you're in that with your gift or your sacrifice, and you got all against your brother, leave the sacrifice there and go and make amends with your brother.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
Then return. So it's better to do what? As we talked about earlier. Let's try to be reconciled.
Yeah.
Just like in a way when not Melchizedek, but Abimelech went to Abraham. They worked that, they entered into a peace.
That was an excellent point, though.
Yeah.
They get this worked out now.
Yeah. So what did he say in Genesis when he came to him and he was like, you know, Abraham, swear to me.
Yeah, swear to me.
Right?
Right.
Abraham said, okay, but he reproved him. Hey, man, your men then stole my water. They took the water, man. Took the water.
Yeah.
We need to address this first
Yeah.
before we do anything.
Yeah.
Let us be on one accord.
Let's be on one
They were
accord.
men. So we also see how Yahweh showed how men build. They
How men deal with
communicate.
each other. You have to communicate.
Yes.
Because it's a dangerous. Look at
There was some problem.
They resolved their issues.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't get to fight and pick up stones.
Pick up stones, their spirit.
But he said, hey, man, we got to talk about this. Let's address this.
Well, isn't the nation's president supposed to be flying over there to meet with Putin?
That's right.
Right now to talk. They got troops all against Ukraine.
Oh,
You know,
man.
but that's a way they're trying, because if men don't talk, it could be a catastrophe.
Of course.
It could be a war on a national level with nations, and then with individuals, you don't got them to tussle or fight, gun pulled out, knife pulled out, or you don't beat somebody and they die or something. Then you find yourself, why couldn't I have just went and spoken and dealt with that brother in a more, or just walk away until I'm cool. Let me cool off. But when you speak from the gut, from that heart, out of that anger, or you feel you've been wrong, now you don't done so much. You don't destroy people. That's why you gotta watch that tongue. It sets on fire the course of what? The earth.
Destruction, man.
It's a little thing, a little number.
What a big.
They get a forest fire.
Nobody came that way.
Exactly. So with that, I'm thinking about, okay, praise God. But we wanted to do a little, again, we started out this Sabbath class discussion a little different. We wanted to just kind of share about who we are and what brought us together and what our motivations are. And the main motivation is to work in this vineyard, work in Yahweh, work in Yahshua's vineyard, to reach out to those lost sheep that might want to hear this truth. And also to provide edifying words as we study to those who are walking in this way with the Mashiach. So, but this class, this Sabbath class discussion was entitled Father Abraham, Legacy Continued, Part 4. And with that, I'm going to go ahead, I think I'm going to bring this class to a close, but the Spirit got into it. Everybody getting excited. But praise God. I don't want no brother going there. Your right was fired up. Praise God. But see, that's what the Spirit does.
That's right.
We got to let that Spirit flow. Let it read. Let it say what he got to say. Because see, and that was so edifying when you went there. You see, and this is what it's all about.
That's right.
It's not about, this is not a, I want to say this, and anybody can say anything to it. Now, the class is closed. Now, we don't enter the Sabbath class discussion today. But as you see this table, nothing in here is set up on a script. It is what it is. Okay? You know, we see everything because that's how the churches started out. Did they not?
Oh, yeah.
They were in homes.
That's
They
right.
were in houses.
Yeah.
And we're blessed to be in a place where we can, you know, praise our Elohim.
And at the same time, teach the word.
And teach this word.
That's right.
Because if we don't do like Nick said earlier when he was saying his thing, see, the enemy had a mindset, I'm going to shut all 4 of them down.
They ain't gonna do nothing.
They ain't going to do nothing.
They gonna sit at home.
They gonna sit at home
Wallowing.
mad, wallowing. So, you know, well, I was trying to do something,
Yeah.
you know, and all that stuff. But look at what Yahweh's done. So he
Praise
brought
God.
us here. And the only thing we can do is give Yahweh the glory and the praise.
Praise.
With that, just closing comments, real short. And brothers, we don't want to hold everybody all night. But anything you want to say as we finish this class?
I just say
finish this class.
I just said, man, let's love each other. That's all I'm gonna say. Whether he is born in the yard or foreigner or whatever, whoever it is, show love. You know, not only to us in here, but love even to our enemy.
There it is. Now that's the test. Praise Yah. That's what it's all about. Mikhail.
Well, you said it's short and sweet, man. Just laying back off my elders. Let's just spread love to Israel way. That's it.
That's it.
Praise Yah.
Hey, that's right.
I ain't got nothing to add to that.
So with that, I said, well, you know what?
Praise God for the opportunity.
Praise God for the opportunity. And would you let them know where you can be, anybody listen to you or me, where you can watch us, where we are, I guess, on
Because our social media.
Oh, me?
But nonetheless,
Share it with
Facebook, they can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or locate us on Twitch. We're on YouTube. And today the class played on YouTube and the audio was clean. I've been checking it out. So
Praise Yah.
I think we got those settings fixed. So yeah, keep tuning us in and share it with your friends and your family.
anything you want to add to that, Mikhail? I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's it.
Well, with that, hey, brother,
Praise God.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And I just give a little bit to that, brother. It's a blessing, praise y'all. And to all of you who joined us today with this, with our Sabbath class discussion, Shabbat Shalom, and may Yahweh be with you and keep you for the remainder of this Sabbath day. Keep it holy.
Praise.